Parama Sukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Twandvaditam Gagana Sadrisham Attvamasyadhilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavaditam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Nithyanam, we welcome you all again to the 5th day of this series on Bhagavad Gita coded, the preamble to the constitution of Kailasa. We welcome all our viewers, all our guests, everyone sitting with us from across the globe in various different parts of the world, joining us today for this Nithyananda TV segment with the blessings and grace of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. Today, we're going to be continuing and going on this journey of understanding the preamble of the constitution of Kailasa, which is Bhagavad Gita, and how Bhagavad Gita decoded. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's translation of the Bhagavad Gita, decoding of the Bhagavad Gita for all of us in our language, in the way we understand how it the Veda Agamas.
Yes. Yesterday we understood, Maharaj, what is true freedom and how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's Bhagavad Gita decoded helps us to exercise our true freedom to become leaders in today's world.
Yesterday we learned Kailasa is the best country. It gives you the freedom of the inner world. We learned that by living our conscious sovereignty, by the ultimate truth that we are consciousness. No prenatal or postnatal patterns or habits or karmas can bind us. There's a tremendous amount of possibilities arise when we can imagine a life without our limitation. And so what are we going to be looking at today, Maharaj?
Actually, Maharaj, today is a very interesting topic in the, for the intellectuals, especially out there. Many Hindus take pride that Hinduism is a science, isn't it? But don't really have the Shastric backing to explain, because whenever somebody asks them the question, okay, you say Hinduism is a science, but how? Explain to us. But they don't really have a solid answer. They may have some answers here and there, but there is no real solid answer, which is also backed by the scriptures.
Completely true, Maharaj. I completely agree. We see today many Hindus who know and believe that Hinduism is a science. But we are also seeing on the other side, people make fun of how unscientific Hinduism is. And these people are quoting our scriptures to us. This is not only embarrassing, but this is a pain point which we need to look in. We need to empower ourselves and all Hindus across the globe as well to scientifically prove our scriptures are real.
Yes, absolutely, Maharaj. You're absolutely right. In fact, so in this context, we are today going to look at the 4th chapter from the Bhagavad Gita, which is the Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. So here in the preamble of our constitution, which is the Bhagavad Gita decoded, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is explaining how the science of enlightenment of the highest knowledge, that energy and the matter are one and the same, was passed on by Bhagavan Sri Krishna to the Lord Sun, the Surya, Bhagavan Surya, and from him the knowledge was passed down through the succession of enlightened masters and kings of the great lineage, the Surya Samrajya lineage. This whole entire enlightenment science was passed down from generation to generation until it was revealed from Bhagavan Sri Krishna to Arjuna at that time.
So wait, our kings were also involved, Maharaj? Weren't they too busy always fighting each other?
See, that's the magnificence of our saintly kings, isn't it? Janaka and other so many kings have happened in Sanatana Hindu Dharma, in our history, Hindu history, that they are kings and as well as they are the enlightened masters. They are enlightened. They were all enlightened kings. In fact, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism says only a king will be able to value and pass on the great truths because they have enjoyed material wealth. They can understand the meaning and the relevance of spirituality, because once you're really fulfilled about the entire outer world wealth and abundance and this and that, then only you can really realize that, there is something more. You really still lack something. And then you even start valuing the spiritual truths in the authentic sense, in the real context.
This actually reminds me of a story which the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism used to share. There was a beggar who used to stay at the entrance of a temple, and he was always stretching out only one hand, asking for alms and begging. One day, the people saw that his both hands were stretched out, and both of his hands were stretched out, and was asking for the alms. And so they became curious. Why is he stretching the other hand? And so they asked him, "What happened today? You're suddenly stretching out both your hands. Until now, you're stretching out only one hand. Why?" Then the beggar says, "I have started one more branch."
Yes, this is true, Maharaj. The beggar is still going to be a beggar, even if he stretches another hand. If we work with the beggar mentality, we will never be successful to the end. You will never be complete. And so, hence, the kings were enlightened and they were responsible for the passing down of the truth of the Vedas and Agamas from generation to generation, even till date, even to till today, the lineage continues.
Yes, Maharaj, completely agree. Even the parampara, as you explained earlier, Maharaj, has first Krishna, then the sun god, then Manu, Ikshvaku, and the complete of the lineage. But I have one question here. First of all, how Krishna, who is younger to the sun happened so many millions of years ago. Krishna happened only a few thousand years back. How can Krishna, who is younger to the sun, teach this science itself to the sun?
Yeah, interesting question, Maharaj. See, actually, Arjuna has the same doubt. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna has the same doubt at that time, and he asks his friend, Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So they were actually friends. So their intimacy is a very important aspect in this conversation, because of which these great truths are also revealed to him in such an intimate fashion, in such a friendly way. So he asks the same question, he has the same doubt that you are younger to Lord Surya, Bhagavan Surya, the sun god. How am I to understand that you taught the science to him?
How interesting. How did Bhagavan Sri Krishna answer this question to Arjuna?
See, Bhagavan answers with one of the most famous lines of Gita. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya jadushkritam dharma samsthapunarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. It means whenever positive consciousness declines, when collective negativity rises, oh Bharata, again and again at these times I happen myself to protect the pious and to annihilate the wicked, to re-establish righteousness. I myself appear age after age.
Yes, Marit, I do remember this being a very, very popular verse. If you see many of these TV serials and many of in YouTube, a lot of places, this is a very popular verse which they replay again and again. So are you saying that this verse is very scientific?
See, the pretext to this is very scientific. Actually, the way Hinduism tells us about the cosmos is very mature. See, we are taught in our schools that to learn about the nature of the cosmos, we need to do research and development, isn't it? But our rishis, our Vedic seers, work by revelation and development. Research and development is different, and revelation and development is different.
So, Maharaj, are you saying that the core difference between the outer scientists of today and the inner scientists of Hinduism is the way they relate to the cosmos?
Yes, absolutely. The truth is that through research and development, the one doing the research, the scientist of today, is seeing himself more intelligent than the object or subject being researched onto. They will cut
Yes, Maharaj. I think we're back. Sorry, we'd like to sincerely complete with all our viewers for the technical glitch. Yes, Maharaj, you were saying?
The current context in which the science is happening these days, because through research and development, that is the pretext in which the modern science operates. We're doing the research. The one doing the research is basically cutting and coming to some conclusion, basically running from the source cognition that the object on which he's doing the research is less intelligent than him, the scientist himself. So then they develop these methods for others to come to these conclusions.
Of a scientist, isn't it? Fundamentally, that they all have their previous learned knowledge and biases, so they are unable to approach the science with an open mind, unfortunately. When the ego gets involved, the whole of research becomes frustrating. College goers today waste years and years of their life just working on one paper which they treat as a dead specimen. And they feel frustrated that this dead specimen isn't telling them more about itself. If we actually start treating our research material as lower in intelligence, then your ego will get in the way of your research. Nithyanam. Yes, Nithyanam, sorry for the technical glitch. We are back. And as I was mentioning earlier, actually, if we look at the nature of scientists, universities, and colleges right now, they all have their previous learned knowledge and biases, so they are unable to approach the science with an open mind, unfortunately. When the ego, when that gets involved to the whole research, everything becomes frustrating automatically. College goers today waste years and years of their life just trying to work on one paper which they treat as a dead specimen. And they feel frustrated about this dead specimen because it isn't telling them more about itself. If we treat our research material as lower in intelligence, then naturally our ego is going to get in the way of our research.
That's why, Maharaj, our Vedic rishis, Vedic seers, they will handle the object or subject of their inquiry as all powerful, as a higher intelligence, as the cosmos itself. So by the simple surrender, the cosmos reveals its truths to them. Then they develop the methods for others to have these same revelations, to get these downloads directly from cosmos about any it can be any field, any topic or anything they want to get knowledge on, be it planets, be it metals, or be it the very nature of the reality itself. Any time they want to deal with any of these subjects and want to learn, they would simply tune in, they would simply surrender their entire being to the higher intelligence, the cosmos itself, and all these truths would simply be revealed to them. These are known as Upanishads. Upanishad, which literally means just sitting at the feet of, let's say, a master or a higher intelligence. By this simple surrender, all these great downloads of all the knowledges that have happened, which are now a part of the Hinduism, Sanatana Hindu Dharma, this is the way really that it has happened.
What powerful information, Maharaj, you are sharing with all of us today. This is absolutely scientific, or should we say scientific? Because many scientists of today, after years and years of research and development, to a very firm conclusion, they try to maintain that the main formula or the key to the science that they developed was simply revealed to them.
Yes, and in fact, scientists like Albert Einstein or Srinivasa Ramanujan, the great mathematician of India, they credit all their development, all their revealed sciences, whatever was revealed to them, to a higher intelligence. They revealed that it was given to them. They did not do any dissection or reductionist attitude or this or that. Nothing. They simply revealed. They were humble enough to accept this fact that it was simply given to them. In fact, it is a very well known fact that the general theory of relativity, which Albert Einstein is credited with, he simply said that this whole thing was simply revealed to me in my intuition. It was the whole theory was revealed to me. All the work that he did was to develop the mathematics in order to communicate this thing, because it was simply an intuition. It was like a vision which happened to him. Now, how to communicate it? That was a big thing, because the mathematics at that time was not advanced enough to explain that thing, to theorize that thing. So his real work was simply to develop the means of communicating what was revealed to him. But he himself credits this fact that the theory of relativity, was actually revealed to him by the higher intelligence.
If we actually read the personal diaries and autobiographies and the footnotes of the researchers instead of the science books which they're giving us in school as a part of the curriculum, because these are not going to tell us how much of a Hindu thought current was adapted by Albert Einstein. When they themselves have accredited so much. I do actually remember reading somewhere that Albert Einstein had spoken much about the importance of Sanatana Hindu Dharma, about Sanskrit in specific, and how about many of these truths are already revealed and are being practiced as a part of our Sanatana Hindu Dharma lifestyle.
Yes, absolutely, Maharaj. In fact, all these great physicists and scientists that happened, Albert Einstein, Niels Bohr, Oppenheimer, all these great scientists, all of them were very much in tune with the Hindu Shastras, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita. They all accredited in their works that, how much they are indebted to these Hindu scriptures, all the great sciences that they reveal. Even the latest, very recent Carl Sagan and these great scientists, they reveal, they openly say that, see, all these science, all these great truths that we are coming to now, they have been revealed in the Hindu scriptures, in the Vedas and Agamas, the great Hindu cosmology, which talks about literally like vastness of, multi-universes and the vast span of time and this and that. All these things they give full credit to the Hindu scriptures, Hindu Shastras, that they have all the information that now the science is beginning to understand. In fact, our Vedic seers, they knew this is the way cosmos reveals itself. So they sat in Upanishad. The development to the revelations was by the method of what modern science called mirroring neurons. The disciples will sit in the front of their guru, their master, who has had enlightenment by the revelation from cosmos. And he sits and basks himself in the remembrance of that revelation. And the disciples will also sit around him at his feet and serve their guru and simply mirror his neurons. Simply by this mirror neuron effect, all the knowledge, all the experiences that the guru, that the master has had, would simply get passed on to the disciples simply by their surrender and their service.
I think surely once the cosmos reveals itself to a person, those guys are not going to keep quiet about it. If the revelation will be also encompassing and useful in every part of their lives, they were automatically going to be living in the space of enlightenment. Mirroring neurons, as you mentioned, Maharaj, is a wonderful scientific topic which explains the modern understanding of our Upanishadic truths.
Yes, yes, absolutely, man. In fact, if we can give an example of this mirroring neurons, Swamiji also gives that, let's say if we are watching a person swimming, simply by watching him, the ability and the possibility of swimming gets awakened in us. We don't necessarily need to go and learn in the full course on swimming and all. No, just by looking, those neurons will get awakened in us. And the same simple fact also occurs in the deeper sciences, the mystical sciences, and the great revelations that happen from the cosmos itself. Simply, if we sit in front of an enlightened being, a guru, a master, an incarnation who has had this experience, simply by surrendering to him, tuning to him, all these great truths will simply get reflected in our body, mind, in our consciousness also. So, Maharaj, yes,
isn't this principle of mirroring neurons, isn't this the same thing that happens in the Mahaparamashivaham program as well?
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. See, during Mahaparamashivaham, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, himself is literally, he's initiating, he takes all the participants and he sits with them, and simply by the mirror neuron effect, he himself tunes in to this highest supreme consciousness, Paramashiva, and the people who are sitting around him, even online this happens, they simply, due to the mirror neuron effect, they simply get initiated, and all the great sciences and all the great experiences which the Supreme Pontiff has had, they are simply passed on to all the participants as well.
Wonderful, Maharaj. So when Bhagavan Sri Krishna is saying he manifests again to re-establish Dharma, this very scientific way of looking at the universe, he is saying that the higher intelligence reincarnate again and again and again to re-establish its glory, to re-establish its supremacy. This is, wow. So the scientists have never been boasting about themselves being able to prove God and spirituality, because God himself is saying he will come and prove it to them by this verse. But actually, Maharaj, these sciences can become very destructive. We saw the science create atomic bombs that can destroy the world. Shouldn't the great truths be qualified to those? Shouldn't the great truths be taught who are only qualified?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Very interesting and a very significant point you raised. See, that is why Krishna says that because Arjuna has become his devotee and his friend, Krishna is able to tell and reveal these higher truths to him, because that minimum amount of surrender and sincerity and that friendliness is required for these great truths to be revealed, and in a very seamless and easy, quick manner.
Krishna and Arjuna, actually, the bromance, the relationship, the chemistry they have with each other, they're the ultimate bromance of our Shastras itself. As even the Shastras, they themselves say, they are Nara and Narayana. The friendship is so sound and sought after.
Yes. In fact, too bad people don't understand the science itself and just abuse the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism when he tells that energy is matter. He's really clarifying with the world our Upanishadic truths of Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam, the first verse of Isha Vasya Upanishad, the most significant verse which reveals that whatever exists is energy.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, now that we're on the topic, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is an upgraded version. to modern scientific thought. Unfortunately, but people cherish their biases and ego, not being able to see it. Is it not so wonderful to see how our constitution, how the Vedas and Agamas are so scientific, how our preamble of Bhagavad Gita decoded itself is the essence of the Vedas and Agamas? Maharaj, I feel if Hindus today just settle with what we had discussed now, then we will get the right understanding to answer when we are asked if Hinduism is scientific.
Yes, you're right, actually. Our scriptures are so scientific. They're so scientific with the methods used by all the great scientists of the West. But only the methods to develop requires a deeper relationship with the cosmos, with Paramashiva. That is what is lacking in the modern scientific approach. It has done great wonders, no doubt, the modern science, but it is now kind of reaching much like a wall, hitting a wall, because now what is required for us to delve deeper into the nature of our reality, the space time and everything, multi-universes, is a simple surrender and tuning into that higher intelligence, which would simply reveal the highest truths in the most unadulterated manner. Because in the modern scientific approach, that ego that we were talking about earlier, the personal identity which gets involved in our personal research, it also has an effect on the very conclusions that we are going to get. So for us to really look into the reality as it is important for us to surrender and forget our own identity, as the false identity, as we know ourselves, as we understand ourselves, to effect our research. The whole Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga in the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's Bhagavad Gita Decoded teaches one how to be an inner scientist in the modern day. Inner science, the higher science, which Sanatana Hindu Dharma teaches, is much more. In fact, we are not really trying to create an exclusivist divide here, that modern science is bad or this is good. No. Modern science itself is a subset of a higher science which Hinduism, Sanatana Hindu Dharma, reveals. Sanatana Hindu Dharma is the higher science. It is the superset, so to speak, of which even the modern science is a part, and it surely can complement to even the modern scientific development as well.
Maharaj, is this part of Kailasa's constitution's preamble? The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism shares one truth that helped me personally so much with education. So just to quote the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism directly, education is nothing but completing with our self-doubt. When we apply this to any field, we will have an education in that field. So this directly is quoting the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And maybe I'd like to just take a few moments to also share from my own personal experience how this, application of this in my life. So coming back to Gurukul, as some of you may or may not know, I had joined the Nithyananda Gurukul in the year 2012 and had grown up. All my education life has happened since then in the Nithyananda Gurukul. And talk about education, talk about learning. Actually, at that time, this thing about, self-doubt specifically when trying to learn something, there was not really pretty much there for me. We were all, like 150 kids, all of us living together. And so if we see someone, doing something, like, for example, someone is learning a new skill of doing the knitting, which making scarves and making pouches and all these different things out of wool, just seeing the other person and how he's doing, we would go ask and then learn. And we automatically, not just one or two people, 10, 20, 30 of us would start doing it at the same time. It's the same thing, even when it comes to things like learning the Parayanam, learning the chantings, learning the various chantings, the various yoga postures. We had our mentors and teachers, people were there to guide us, but the actual education only happened between us teaching each other. And when you want to learn something, just go and learn. There was no this thing, oh, you have to sit and go through a class, go through a course, someone has to come and teach you. Those concepts actually I didn't even know people had these kind of concepts until I became older and until I started interacting more with the outside world. But earlier, just by growing up, Swamiji gives a very beautiful example in his own personal life. He shares a story once when he and Mata Vibhudanandapuri, one of the many gurus of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, once they were attending a temple function, and in the function, the Chandana Kapu Alankar, So the Kap Alankar is the Alankar of taking the sandalwood paste and doing the decoration on the deity with the sandalwood paste, where you would take the sandalwood paste and apply it on to the deity and make it's beautiful. If you've glimpsed it or if you've seen where the deity will be filled and painted with the Chandana Kapu and all the various other kumkum and other different herbs and aushadas. Very beautiful darshan to have. Even in our own, with the Adi Kailasa temple, we do this seva to Devi Rajareshwari and to the Murti of the Supreme Pontiff himself. And so coming back to the story, so once the priest who's supposed to do the Chandana Kapalankar, once he was not there for some reason, and the Abhishekam was over, the offering of the sacred bath was over, had completed, and next was the offering of the Alankara, the offering of dressing up and decorating the deity. And so the priest who was supposed to do it was, for some reason, he was not there. And so Kupamal just asked one question to Swamiji, just asked one question to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism at that time. Have you seen the Chandana Kapalankar happen before? Have you seen them do it? And Swamiji was like, yes, I've definitely seen them do it. And then Kupamal said, then go and do. And Swamiji asked, but I've never done it before. Then the powerful cognition which Mata Vibhudanandapuri, which Kupamal gives to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism at that time, is if your eyes can see, your hands can do. And so this is the powerful cognition which the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism brought all of us up, not just me, but all 100, 150 of us, all of us were brought up with this one cognition, that if our eyes can see and witness something, our hands are capable of doing it. And so actually, this is the principle of education which should be taught in every single school, powerful cognition. So much of unnecessary load, unnecessary baggage, unnecessary conditionings, to put it. We want to learn something, you need to go to a class, you need to pay so much of money, you need to go and study this course, especially in the world where everything is now, where education is truly freely available. If you want learning how to ride a bicycle, learning how to cook, even complicated stuff of how to perform certain surgeries, everything is freely available now to us in the internet, in YouTube, in Google, in so many various different ways. And so in this field of how education knowledge is also freely open and available to us now, this is a very important cognition which many of us are actually, even without us even knowing, some of us in some have started following this in our life. But bringing this into the education system itself, where when the eyes can see, hands can do, this will definitely break through to society as a whole. The very education university, the very system of educating a person will fundamentally change with this cognition.
Yes, so beautifully put, Maharaj. In fact, even I was thinking, even Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, he also repeats again and again that Hindu education system is not like, loading a mind with information again and again. It's simply just downloading all the information, all the knowledge from the cosmos directly, just sitting unclutched in the presence of the Guru. Simply that knowledge transmission happens. So that is the beauty of Hindu education system, which even Kailasa now stands for the revival of for the revival of this education system, the Gurukul education system. And so that we understand what is the difference between the inner science and the outer science. What is the difference between the research and development and revelation and development that we were talking about, and how to establish this higher science, the inner science, the super science of Hinduism, and to make it actually accessible to people, and to basically accessible to the younger generation. Now, the Gurukul that Supreme Pontiff has in the Gurukul, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has given us a safe environment to relate with the cosmos as a higher intelligence. So we learn about it when we complete with our self-doubt that we hold on to. Simply that download happens because it's our own self-doubts that are really preventing us from downloading directly from the cosmos any knowledge that we want. So when the completion happens with our own self-doubt, all the education naturally happens. All the download of all the knowledge simply happens. It simply becomes reality. So this brings us to an end of today's pre-satsang segment. So thank you so much, Mangala Maharaj, for sharing the great truths from the Bhagavad Gita, especially the chapter 4, Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, of how the scientific temper of the real science, the higher science, is a very part of the preamble of the constitution of Kailasa, and how it can benefit the world, and how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is reviving this science, this higher science, through Kailasa.
Thank you, Brahmasukuma. Thank you for sharing with us the precious words of Swamiji, of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, from the preamble, from Kailasa's, the preamble of Kailasa's constitution, the Bhagavad Gita recorded.
Thank you, Maharaj. Also, so after this, now we move on to the segment of today's Hindu vote. So basically, the Hindu votes is an initiative by Kailasa to basically to include and to involve the general public, the masses, into the very decision making, the policy making of the Kailasa. And it is a very, in fact, the idea comes from the idea of responsible democracy, so that the people who are actually tuned to a particular idea, to a particular field, are actually also empowered to take the decisions in that field. So when we actually involve the public, involve the e-citizens of Kailasa to cast their vote on any particular topic, on any particular subject of interest or any current topic. So we are actually, it's not just that we are asking for their opinion, we're actually making them a very part of the policy making of Kailasa, the first Hindu nation. So moving on, so the Hindu vote question for today, which is being posted on Twitter, the official handle of the Supreme Pontiff @Sri Nithyananda. The question for today is: should the higher science of Vedas and Agamas be officially made as part of the school curriculum? I'll repeat the question. Should the higher science of Vedas and Agamas be officially made part of the school curriculum? So please head on to the official Twitter handle of the Supreme Pontiff and immediately cast your votes. The official Twitter handle is @Sri Nithyananda, where you can go and cast your votes, and so that you are actually becoming a part of the decision making and the overall awareness, raising the awareness and getting all the Hindus together on one platform so that they can discuss and implement what has to be implemented for the revival of Sanatana Hindu Dharma today.
Yes, thank you so much. I would like also to take this opportunity to thank all our viewers for coming today, being a part of this segment, learning and understanding the deeper truths behind Gita, which is the preamble to the constitution of Kailasa. And so now with this, we're going to be entering into a small process, which is deep waiting towards enlightenment. This is a process for all the intellectuals. If you consider yourself an intellectual, this process is to help you to achieve an experience of enlightenment, help you experience the space of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And so this technique is from the Shiva Sutras and is revealed to all of us in the Bhagavad Gita given by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Let us get now into the space of Devi. When she sat with Paramashiva, she was in total surrender. The Shiva Sutras, if for those of you who don't know, the Shiva Sutras is a series of scriptures considering the Guru Gita, the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, like this, a collection of books of scriptures together makes up the Shiva Sutras. And the Shiva Sutras is revealed by Paramashiva to Devi, Parashakti. And so now let us get into the space which Devi was in when she sat with Paramashiva. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism says, a deep passive waiting without knowing what is going to happen is passive. This is what the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism calls as total surrender. The moment you decide, I will wait forever, things will start happening immediately for you. As long as you are in a hurry and agitation and in continuous anxiety in running mode, you stop things from happening in you. We must now understand that the moment the outer scientists came to this deep passive waiting, they became inner scientists. So let us now come to this space of deep passive waiting. Close your eyes. Bring your eyes to your Anandagandha. Visualize the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism residing in your Anandagandha as Paramashiva with the 25 heads and 50 hands. Surrender now all your self-doubts, self-hatred, self-denial. Surrender everything now at the feet of Paramashiva, at the feet of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Let us please take this next few moments to bring us to the space of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, space of restful awareness, as we get ready to enter the next segment of today's program, the Nithyananda Satsang. Please sit straight. Continue to hold this visualization. Nanda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
The nature of consciousness, the source of awareness, the relationship between our ego and the world. This has plagued us for generations. We strive to understand why we are the way we are, why our reality is the way it is, why our life is the way it is. But what if the way we see the world as separate from us is just an illusion? What if our consciousness exists before all experience and is not limited to the confines of our body and mind?
Today what I revealed is practically the whole Hinduism in a nutshell. If you make the column, you will see clearly most of your problems are internal non-understanding. When these internal non-understandings are cleared, life becomes Leela. You just manifest what you want. I'll make this as a realization in you all now through this initiation and darshan of Sadashiva. Desire to have certain experiences. That pressure inside you creates time which is not there and gives you various experiences. Time is slow when you wait. Time is fast when you are late. Time is deadly when you are sad. Time is short when you are happy. Time is endless when you are in pain. Time is long when you feel bored. Every time is determined by your feelings and psychological conditions, not by clocks. So learn to have nice time always. Time is a matter and it does not matter. It can be manipulated as you want. You can play with it as you want.
படைத்த நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஓம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறு படைக்கப்பா அறுபடை சக்தியின் ஒருமுக நித்தியனின் திருவடியை நாம் காண்போம் நித்யா திருவடியை நாம் காண்போம் நித்தியன் திருவடி கண்டு நோயற்ற வாழ்வினை பெறுவோம் நித்தியன் திருவடி கண்டு நோயற்ற வாழ்வினை பெறுவோம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஓம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஓம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறு படைக்கப்பா கேட்டால் தருவாய் வந்தால் அருள்வாய் நித்தியபுரி நித்யா நித்யா நித்தியபுரி நித்யா நித்தியன் பாதம் கண்டு சகல செல்வமும் பெறுவோம் நித்தியன் பாதம் கண்டு சகல செல்வமும் பெறுவோம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஓம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஓம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறு படைக்கப்பா
ஓம் நித்யானந்தேஸ்வர பரமசிவசமாரம்பாம் நித்யானந்தேஸ்வரி பரமசிவசக்திமத்யமாம் அஸ்மதாச்சார்யபர்யந்தாம் வந்தே குருபரம்பராம். I welcome you all with my love and respects. I welcome all the dignitaries, very important guests, statesmen from the various countries, representatives of the various countries for this grand global conclave of an ancient traditional celebration of unity and peace and courage, Thaipusam with Sri Kailasa, uniting nations for indigenous traditions and tribes. We are honored to have Mr. Anthony Kiwonka, Department Minister, representative of Liberia. Thank you for being here. We are honored to have you here, Minister Mr. Anthony Kiwonka from Liberia. Honorable Solomon George, member of House of Representatives representing Liberia, Mayor Peter Kezola representing Uganda, Honorable Deng Jesus Mading Parliament member representing Jangle and chairperson of South Sudan Young Parliamentarian Caucus, South Sudan. I welcome you. We are honored by your presence. Mr. R.N. Hawker, Director of Migration Investments, representative of Turkey. Mr. Philip P. Reklai, Senator and representative of Palau, President of Reklai Associates. Thank you for being here. Haji Sainul Sarafat, President of Anjuman Zunatul Jamaat Association, representative of Trinidad and Tobago. Right Reverend Dr. Joseph, Head of the Lutheran Church Malawi. Datuk Dr. Logabalan Mohan, Deputy Minister of Federal Territories representing Malaysia. Mr. Gurpreet Singh, President of Punjab Organization representing Malaysia. And there's a long list of guests who are here. I sincerely thank every one of you for being here. We are honored by your presence. Thank you once again. And I also welcome all the ambassadors, ministers, representatives of Kailasa, Vidyeshwaras, Ganeshwaras, Lokeshwaras, Astreshwaras. I welcome all of you with my love and respects. We are honored by all of you. Paramashiva's message directly from Kailasa. On this auspicious occasion, celebration, global conclave of an ancient traditional celebration of unity and peace and courage, Taipusam, organized by Kailasa, Uniting Nations for Indigenous Traditions and Tribes. Message from Paramashiva directly is, let us strengthen the grassroots of our conscious lifestyle to live consciously successful life on planet Earth. Please understand, the worst crisis humanity is going through is the largest population ever on the planet Earth feels uprooted. Please understand. Never ever world faced this conscious pandemic. I'm not talking about corona. I am talking about largest population, more than 70% of the human population feels they are uprooted. They have no roots. Consciously feel their life has no purpose. I tell you, The greatest problem humanity is facing now is not just pandemic, corona, or global warming. All this we can handle too easily if we are consciously strong. If human beings are consciously strong, handling corona, global warming, other problems are too easy. But unfortunately, more than 70% of the humanity, please understand when I am saying these words, 70%, after thorough research, studying the scientific researches, analysis done by multiple universities which are working on various human societies, ethnic cultures. After thoroughly studying all of that, I am making this statement. More than 70% of the humanity feels consciously uprooted. The feeling of belongingness is stolen away. That's one of the fundamental flaw, I should say. The fundamental right to all human beings is feeling conscious belongingness, feeling grounded, feeling fulfilled with their life. Unfortunately, the political ideologies which are extremely exploitative, religious ideologies which are extremist, the militant missionaries and missionary militants, crony capitalism, deadly combination of all these three. Crony capitalism, extremist religious ideologies, and extremely exploitative, oppressive political ideologies and decision makers. The deadly combination of these three has made more than 70% of the human beings consciously uprooted. The biggest problem humanity is facing now is conscious pandemic. Feeling purposeless. The definition of life is not convincing, satisfying. Please understand, 50% of the middle-aged, middle-class people are dropping from regular jobs. Regular jobs are not going to be any more normal lifestyle. The new normal is not going to have a regular clerical, industrial, working population. This is one of the major revolution happening all over the world. Nobody is waking up to it. And 20% of the population just want to move away from the grid. Not just from job. They just don't want the human civilization. They are moving into the forests, remote villages. They don't want all the comforts, luxuries the modern day civilization is providing because they feel it's the too costly exchange. The 20% do not know the solution, but one thing they became very clear, they don't want the modern civilization anymore. Understand? I am not against science, modern civilization. I am not against any of it. But the crony capitalists, extremist religious ideologies like militant missionaries and missionary militants and absolute oppressive, sadist, autocratic, power-hungry political decision makers, deadly combination of these three is making people lose their roots. I call this as a conscious pandemic, which is more serious problem than global warming or corona, the global pandemic which we are going through. Please understand, this conscious pandemic of feeling uprooted, feeling displaced, is imploding human society from inside. No amount of painkillers, depression medications, psychiatric drugs is going to help these root problems of humanity. No amount of addiction, illegal drugs is going to help the humanity to find solution. All the decision makers all over the world, if you are a decision maker in the political field, religious field, media, or entertainment field, Hollywood, Bollywood, Gollywood, Sandalwood, or social media influencer, if you are influencing the society in any form, I request all of you sincerely, please wake up to this truth. We are having conscious pandemic all over the world. The only solution is strengthening our indigenous lifestyle consciously. Let's go back to our way of eating. Each part of the world, country, had their way of diet before this multinational companies started dumping food-like products in the name of food into our stomach and make our body as their source for income. Understand, a patient cured is a client lost for big pharmas. They are not going to think for your health. It is very open. It's a business for them. So why will they think they are not charitable organization? They are not compassion-centric ideology organization. They are declared for-profit companies. Why don't we wake up? The big pharmas are going to only work for their profit. For them, your body is an income source. Why don't we wake up to the simple truth and drop the blind spot with which we are pushing our life and masses, billions of human beings into irreversible physical, mental, psychological, emotional damages we are collectively causing. Please understand. Crony capitalism in the field of pharma, in the field of food, is not only extremely dangerous, it is causing irreversible damage to the human bodies, minds, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. We are living the worst kind of body-mind structure for our next generation. Please understand. In multi-level stealing the conscious indigenous life from the people, whether the indigenous Hindu traditions are stolen away, destroyed from the Hindus living in remote villages of Nepal, India, Malaysia, or the indigenous homegrown family lifestyle of worshipping Voodoos, the Voodoo traditions being stolen away, robbed, forcibly taken away from the African indigenous tribes. All these are the crimes against humanity. Please understand. Whether a Munishwaran temple is getting demolished in a remote village in Tamil Nadu, or Mariamman temple is getting demolished in a remote village in Malaysia, or the village Hindu tribes getting brainwashed and forcibly getting converted in Nepal, or the indigenous African tribes and traditions is getting wiped off in the name of modernization, and they losing their Voodoo traditions and converting losing their conscious roots and being consciously manipulated, bullied, exploited by missionary militants and militant missionaries. All these are causing conscious pandemic for human beings. The deadly combination of these three all over the world is causing chaos. It is time consciously we the people, we the humanity reclaim our indigenous lifestyle traditions consciously. Modernization does not mean getting brainwashed and losing your conscious roots by this deadly combination of crony capitalist autocratic political decision makers extremely misinforming, brainwashing mainstream media and militant missionaries and missionary militant religious political ideologies. Common man follows science, science follows simply obediently the large powerful media and pharma mafia. Even in this global pandemic corona, common man follows science. Common man is controlled by science and science is controlled by big pharmas. Big pharmas have evolved more like a modern day mafia than solution for the problems of humanity. It is time we the people, we the human beings, we the conscious beings wake up and not allow ourselves to get silenced by those powerful forces trying to silence us. We should get back to our conscious roots, our conscious lifestyle, our own conscious introduction about ourselves, the way we deal our body, our mind, our pleasures, our pains, our relationships, the concept of economy, concept of currency, concept of money, concept of social structure. In every level, it is time we get back to our roots consciously, not allow these chronic capitalists and chronic capitalists supported militant missionaries and missionary militants get to our conscious roots. We are made to eat something food-like product in the name of food, plastic food, which makes us not only sick, alters our body and mind once and for all, to be a client for pharmaceutical industry. Big pharma mafias, and we continue to earn, live, just to make big pharmas richer and richer and richer. Patient cured is a client lost is their ideology. And common mass, billions of people are just being treated as the clients, not as patients. Non-violence, conscious coexistence need to enter into all our thought currents, the way of living, in our business decisions, social understandings, the way we influence ourselves and the people around us and the world. Please understand, 70% of the world population is imploding. Consciously feel uprooted, displaced. This conscious pandemic really need to be taken very seriously. Efforts to correct the course correction should start now. Kailasa is all about conscious course correction. We are not interested in who committed the crime. We are only interested in waking up the human beings that the crime has been committed on them and move them away from the sufferings and make them consciously grounded again. Feel fulfilled again. Feel this home, planet Earth, the only home we human beings have. We have some more guests joining. Honorable Jose Miguel Benitez, the Mayor of Guatemala Zone, representing Guatemala. Thank you for being here. All over the world, in the name of globalization, our indigenous roots are consciously getting destroyed. It is time we revive the conscious-centric civilization, conscious-centric lifestyle, conscious-centric life solutions. We human beings need to revisit all the ideas about what is money, what is currency, what is crime, who should be put in prison, who should be rewarded, awarded, What is science? All these definitions need to be revisited consciously. What is human body? What is human mind? What is human being? What is the meaning of health? What is the definition of consciously feeling fulfilled? What is the definition of peace? What is the definition of love? What is the definition of joy? All this need to be redefined, revisited consciously. At least last 200 years, heavy damage is done. I'm not talking just about India or Sri Lanka, Nepal, Malaysia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan. No, I'm talking about the whole world, Africa. The whole suffering human beings going through in Afghanistan is they accepted the ideology which dictates them, brainwashes them to kill people if they have a different opinions. Instead of handling the logic with the logic, when sword is used to cut the head, if there is an idea in somebody's head and you have better idea, try to share your idea. But just because the other person has different idea in his head, just cutting his head is not going to solve the problem. But unfortunately, when you accept those ideologies, once you start killing anyone, once you complete the killing of the people whom you think as ideologically different outsiders, you start killing within yourself, because the habit of killing by then becomes part of your lifestyle. You can't do anything. You don't know anything else other than either you kill or get killed. The militant missionary ideology are causing millions of people getting even physically uprooted, making them refugees. And then missionary militants, conversion, religious conversion for the sake of political motives, the mass conversion is terrorism. We human beings need to know an individual for the sake of conscious reason changing his ideologies due to conscious evolution is absolutely okay. That's a freedom. But mass conversion with a political ideology heavily funded externally is a terrorism. It's a violence. Just like gun terrorism, gun violence, humanity should wake up and realize conversion terrorism and conversion violence. Gun violence kills only in thousands, conversion violence kills in millions. We Hindus, who are the victims of militant missionaries and missionary militants, have to wake up to tell the truth to the world. We need to start somewhere. We should make the world understand. Stop this consciously uprooting people. By terrorizing us with the militant missionaries, missionary militants, and the lifestyle, consumeristic lifestyle being forced on us in the name of culture, modernization by the chronic capitalists. When you get addicted to food-like products in the name of food, please wake up. Your body is becoming the source for income for the big pharma mafias. We human beings need to reclaim our conscious-centric, indigenous lifestyles. We should free ourselves from currency-centric, profit-motivated, profit-centric food, medicine lifestyles forced on us. First, human beings should liberate themselves by the profit motive multinational companies, food and medicine lifestyles forced on us. Second, profit motive large mafia teaching us about our mind, the false theories dumped on our mind to make us as a patient and resource for their companies. By teaching the false ideas, concepts in the name of psychology, psychiatry, and in the name of mental health. And the false ideas about the currency being taught to us. False ideas about wealth being taught to us. The false ideas about religion, life being taught to us. Let's free ourselves from all this and consciously get back to our indigenous traditions. Our ancestors who are conscious beings who did not look at us as clients or resource for their income, or their slaves, are the source for their power. Our ancestors were conscious. My sincere request to all the decision makers, social influencers who are here, let's wake up to this conscious pandemic humanity is going through. Let's start now. Let's do something now. Let's get back to food style, lifestyle, medicines, everything our ancestors gave us consciously. Understand? In that conscious lifestyle, if we need to do some evolution, let us evolve consciously in that very lifestyle and stop discarding that whole conscious lifestyle of our indigenous traditions. Conscious indigenous traditions and the conscious lifestyle is the solution for all the conscious pandemic human beings are going through all over the world. Thank you for being here. Maybe in further satsangs, I'll reveal more and more the solution from conscious enlightened civilization, ancient civilization of the humanity, Hindu tradition. Kailasa is all about reviving the ancient, enlightened, conscious-centric, indigenous traditions. Hinduism is just nothing but the collection of around 10,000 indigenous traditions, indigenous lifestyles. We are not like modern day organized religions. We are not enforced cookie cutter solutions. We see human beings as conscious beings, not as source for money, not as source for power, not as source for anything. We see human beings as conscious living beings. Non-violence is the foundation of Hinduism and the foundation of Kailasa's constitution. Let's get back to our conscious indigenous traditions, liberate ourselves from this huge conscious pandemic and help the humanity to free themselves from this conscious pandemic. That's all is my request to all the decision makers who are here from various walks of life. Thank you all. With this, I bless you all. Let's all radiate with integrity, authenticity, responsibility, enriching, causing, living Shuddhatvaita Saivam Paramadvaitam. The state, space, powers, being, superconsciousness, and Kailasa, Maha Kailasa of Paramashiva, Paramashivoham, Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham, the eternal bliss Nithyananda. Thank you. Be blissful. Success is not just the zeros you see in your bank balance. It is your conscious sovereignty. It is you feeling so good about you. You celebrating your own existence.